Well, welcome to the I Am podcast. My name is Claudio, and this is our podcast right here. We've got my team, and I'm from England. Liverpool, and I live in the United States. I've been here for almost a decade now. It's crazy to think. Yeah, bro, I know it's coming up to a decade.
It was not that long. I didn't know.
No, bro. I've been here for some time. That's with leaving and coming back also in between. And I started off in Chi-Town, Chicago, with this goon right here, Eddie. But I'll let him introduce himself later on. Went to school, Parkland, played soccer. So I'm a soccer player. Well, used to be, no more. And then now I'm here with these, great guys. I met them along the way. But I'll let them introduce themselves. Marcos, go ahead.
Guys, hello. I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and as Claudio was saying, we met along the way. I've been 6 years here in the U.S.
6 years.
It's been not as long as Claudio, but it's still a long time, and we just thought about this idea. Claudio had this idea originally, and I think it's gonna be great. You guys will see later on what will all this be about. So.
There's more to come, bro.
Yep.
Yeah, there's more to come.
And then also you all will see that we're all from different parts of the world. I think it's gonna, make it really cool, different perspectives. So, Eddie, why don't you tell everyone who you are?
Yes, sir.
Come on, Eddie, bro.
You feel me? But I go by the name of Eddie, originally from Congo.
Tell him your real name, bro. Tell him your actual name, but your label name, bro.
I go by the name of Eddie Lubaga.
Okay.
Born in
name.
Congo, raised in Champaign, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I met him since 2013 until now, so a few years. And I was raised in two different culture. Hopefully, I can give you guys my two different perspective of each culture as much as I can. And then this is our brand new podcast. Hopefully you subscribe to the channel. Please hit the button.
You already started.
I see what you did there, bro. I see, okay.
No, for real, but
right off the bat.
I met most of these guys here. The Marcos already introduced himself. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh yeah. So my name's Dustin. I kind of grew up in a small town in Arkansas. Been here my whole life, so I feel like I have a baseline opinion, maybe, if that makes sense. So you guys are all from different places, and I'm from here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting for me to talk to you and get to know you and learn about your cultures, and then mine. I'm like, oh gosh, I didn't know it was so different.
Right.
So I met these guys, and I was like, you know what? I know a little bit about cameras. Let's make a podcast. Why not? Let's do it. Here we are.
We all like to talk, and it's great that we can share our opinions and perspectives about life. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get into it then,
Yeah,
shall we?
let's start off with you.
Yeah, let's start off with me.
Where did you grow up? Where were you born and grew up? 0 to 10.
0 to 10. Okay, let's start off. And I don't want to go too crazy because my life, like he knows, and Marcus already knows, and I've shared a little bit about my life. It can go on for hours and hours. For the sake of time, we're not gonna get into it, but I'll just give you a brief. I was born in Africa, Angola, and I was raised in England, and I was, it's kind of hard because when I look back, it's almost like I've lived like 3 different lives, and I was able to start making my own real decisions by myself without any adults or any figures in my life. When I left England to come to the U.S. to play soccer, but my journey was harsh. It was difficult, and I say that because, as Eddie knows, Africa is no joke. It's poverty.
It's worse than poverty.
It's
worse than poverty.
It's people struggle, people dying, there's war, sickness, you name it, and what we have here in the U.S. Like streets that you could just walk.
Yeah.
Without even thinking somebody's gonna even come out of nowhere and steal from you. The chances of that, someone still can steal your wallet or whatever, but the chances of that are very slim compared to when you're in Africa. Like you can't just walk in the street. There ain't no streets. There are no streets,
When
bro.
Ain't no pain.
When I think of Africa, like
It's just straight
growing up, I
rocks.
never learned about Africa a lot, so I always like imagine this like place with just nothing but dirt, maybe a cactus. Is that is that how it is?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
is it hot there, or is
it's-
it? What's the? I
It's
don't know anything
like,
about
man, how do you describe like?
Well, okay, so from my perspective, Africa, we have a suburb, city, and the village. You
Okay.
know, most of the population come from the village,
Okay.
go
yeah.
to the city, but a lot of people from the village, when they go to the city, they're barely. Not all of them are accepted because they're from the village. The mentality is different, and the suburb as well. Like they don't really embrace the village. I'm saying that because the village, everywhere in the village, there's no pavement, no water system.
There's no roads.
So what is
There's
there?
no roads.
There's no
school.
basic. There's no
Yeah, like
basic
basic
foundation
needs.
that you see
Yeah.
here in America. Just like the structures of houses
Yeah,
and
And so many
buildings.
people take for granted.
Yeah,
It's like,
There's
wow.
none. There's
Other
none of
people
that.
don't
bro.
have even the basics.
Like
Yeah.
the best way to describe it is, you ever been to a market? Like a food market store where like they just
Like
have their
tents and
own
stuff?
stores,
Yeah.
right? They just like, but the stores aren't like built structured,
Yeah.
but they're just like wooden structures with like
Yeah.
fruits.
Temporary.
It's like everybody
Like vacation, yeah.
have a kiosk.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, like
That's it.
homemade
Oh, yeah.
structures. Yeah.
Homemade, seriously,
Yeah.
bro, seriously.
Wow.
Yeah, bro.
Like if you know, because there's no job, like there's no
jobs?
infrastructure.
There's no infrastructure.
So this is what you do.
Yeah.
You find. I mean, if you're a hustler, you go find a tree that has mango. You get as much mango as you want, or bananas, or
Yeah.
whatever you can find. You grab it. You build a little wood table.
Wood table, and then you
Yeah.
make it for real, bro.
Selling.
Yeah, it's
That's
great.
how people
Yeah.
manly survive. in the
Survive.
village.
Yeah.
And their mentality is way different.
Yeah.
Than anybody.
Because it's I have to do this or I
Yeah,
Or I die.
Yeah.
There's no opportunity.
There's no. I have an application and I go to Walmart and I give an application out to.
Yeah.
No, there's none of
It's
that.
that's
bro.
like I gotta get
No.
these mangoes or my
Yeah.
family don't eat.
They
There
don't
you go.
eat,
funny.
bro.
Like,
There you
It's not
go.
funny, but it's like
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's shocking because
Yeah.
it's so different.
Yeah.
Exactly. They have this survivor mentality. That's every day.
Every
you
single
you wake
day,
up,
bro.
okay, today I gotta survive. When you go to sleep, the next day, you gotta do the same thing. You just gotta find
Mangoes every
something
day, baby.
to be in your stomach.
Yeah, for real.
Bro,
Yeah.
like it's so crazy that people found a new way how to make a meal out of the mango.
Yeah.
Bro, I didn't even know you can make a yogurt, not milk, blah blah blah. Like
Yeah.
you get mango, you mash
make
it,
yogurt.
and you can make a yogurt out of it, and you can feed your kid for the whole day, just that.
Yeah.
That's
And it's-
That's all they're gonna eat.
And it's just so interesting because I mean, you guys are saying all this,
Yeah.
and of course, it's very sad. But at the same time, you see how, with lack of resources, you still see a lot of happiness in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
people.
that's it.
Yeah, and that's one of the
Yeah.
topics, guys, that we're gonna be talking
Somehow they're
either
still happy.
at this podcast or later on. Is how just happiness doesn't come with materialistic
Yeah.
Yeah.
things that you see here in this country and in other countries as well, like how a lot of people are just so tied to all those materialistic things that at the end of the day, I mean,
For sure, no, no, I understand definitely. And going back to your question, like so, me growing up was different because it was my reality was harsh. was harsh, was war, violence, was was poverty, and even between me and him, like, in here in the U.S. you got, you have poor or lower class, middle class, and upper class. Like in where I was from the village, and the village is like, it's either you're low class or you're upper class. There's no really middle, and so for me, my family, my mom actually, my mom used to own one of those stores, one of those like just small stores, right? And
the kiosk.
And in order for me to actually come here, go to England, she sold her entire store.
No way.
And exactly, so the whole thing. But I'm one of three, so, and I was the middle child. And the question I always asked, because back then I was too young to still understand what was kind of going on, because the way I went to England wasn't like, oh, it was a happy moment. It was like, hey, like the decisions were already made for me. It's like, there's your passport.
You had to.
I had to go, because at the time there was civil war going on in my country. So
really,
yeah, exactly. So civil war going on, and my parents sold pretty much their whole life to send one child, and that one child, it was me.
They picked you.
And they picked me, bro. And until this day, I always question, like, why did they pick me?
Wonder why,
because usually, logically, you always think that, you would pick the first child or the last child.
Or the youngest, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
You're the youngest child. You never ever pick. It's very rare that you ever pick a middle child.
You were the middle child?
I was the middle child. Yeah, and I was the one who got picked. And
middle children never get anything.
Exactly. That's kind of
that's lucky. That's a weird.
Yeah, that's a.
How,
for sure.
How life changing it was.
Right.
For
So yeah, I got. So basically, they shipped me. Sorry, they put me in an aeroplane and. Seriously, they put me in an aeroplane and that was the first time I ever flew. And back then, I flew by myself. So I flew from Angola to Portugal by myself. I'm from Portugal to France, and by myself again. And then it wasn't until France I met up with my auntie, who I flew with her to England. And when we flew to England, we came to England as refugees, and so you understand. So
that's a crazy story.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, and then but even in that wasn't even the worst of it. The worst of it, and me, as I'm sharing my story, right? Like, I'm not ashamed of any of it, because to me, like, it's molded me into who I am, and it's and you guys know me, you guys see how much joy and how much laughter I have in my life, and how much pain I had in order to have this kind of joy. I mean, it's incredible for when I look back at my own life or my own experience. So, but even with that, going through that transition with my auntie, staying with my auntie, like, she used to abuse me too. And then we can talk about, we can talk about that side of it, how it affects people, but how it affects people in a negative sense versus a positive sense. 9 times out of 10, it affects people in a negative. Exactly, because I've encountered many people. Where we work, our day-to-day life, how they're affected traumatically by the events that they went through.
You see it,
and I see, and I don't just see it, but I relate to them, because I can see, you've been through it. You
cannot just understand, but you can actually understand from the perspective that you feel what.
So I went to England. My auntie used to abuse me, and the thing is, the other side aspect of it is, I don't know what my auntie was going through. So she could be going. She could have
yeah.
been going through a lot. Yeah, it was still wrong in a sense that she was abusing and she was
Doesn't make it
doing
okay.
wrong.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it okay. But when you flip that side of it and you go, oh, what could she have gone through? She probably going through her own struggles. And when I started to begin to understand that, I was like, wow, you know what? Like, we really don't know what anybody's going through until we actually step into their shoes, you understand?
Yeah.
Or at least try to understand.
In other words, know what's going on in a person's life
Exactly,
more.
yeah.
And that's what's connected. I mean, what the idea that Claudio had, just this podcast to talk about, what people think and why people do what they do. Because again, a lot of times we just judge people based on what we see, but there's a lot of times that it's just things that are going on that we don't know.
True, that's true. So, but yeah, that's just a little bit about myself, and there's more to come yeah, I mean, I would love to know. I'd love you guys to ask more questions if you want.
How old were you when you had to leave Africa?
How old?
Yeah.
I think I was like 5, 6.
So you were young.
I was young.
And you had to fly by yourself.
By myself. Back then, bro, that was in the 90s, bro.
That was fine?
Yeah, bro. In the the 90s, early 2000s, bro, that was fine, bro. I mean,
You couldn't do that today.
Yeah, bro.
You would not be able to.
If you really think about it, that a lot of the rules that I've changed, I've only changed probably in the last 20 years.
Well,
Seriously,
everything changed after the 9/11.
Boom, there you go.
Literally.
Yeah, there you go. And how long ago was that?
Like it happened in 2001.
2000, so almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Airport
Rules
was less
changed. Yeah.
strict about.
Yeah.
Right after that,
Yeah, exactly.
it was over.
Yeah.
It was even some country in Africa, like security became
so.
Yeah, we didn't understand, but
Yeah. Crazy.
So what was I know you were little, but what were the things that you just, when you got to England, that shocked you versus, not being in Angola anymore, or you were too little that you didn't realize much about the differences there?
I don't think I paid too much attention, like you just rightly said.
Yeah.
I was still too young to kind of take in everything, but I was still old enough. I believe I was still old enough to observe and understand that I was no longer around my family. You understand?
Yeah.
So everything was so different, because you gotta think, like, I was, in Angola we speak Portuguese, but we speak it's called Lingala Portuguese,
Yeah.
right? So I was still learning my own native language, right? But then I came to England, this new land, this new place.
Yeah.
Now I'm having not just to learn and figure out my own language, but I'm having to figure out like this new second language. And I mean, it was hard, bro. It was
a new culture.
A new culture. Yeah, it was. Oh man, it was hard, because in school I didn't really understand school. The structure of school didn't make sense to me, and I was always behind. I was always playing catch up. I was always playing catch up with school, with learning, with the culture, with people, and coming from a different kind of background. People don't really understand you. People don't get you, and you essentially fit in. And I for a long time I was trying to fit in, because I didn't know. I mean, I was so young. I didn't know what was going on at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was crazy.
So do you feel like leaving at such an early age to England now, do you feel more of an English or of more of an Mongolian or a mix? Like, because
That's true. No, that's true. Yeah, that is true.
it just depends on how many years. Some people just when they were 1 year old or 2 years old that they left to another country, and when they ask them, they may say that they're from the country they're living
Right,
in, not
right.
anymore from. I mean, because at the end of the day, what I think is, identify with the culture that
You were.
I was raised in,
Raised in.
where now if I live for many more years here, it's just my roots and my way of being. I consider myself an Argentinian, regardless of
Right.
whether I live, my
Re-
entire life.
Somewhere
Yeah.
else, yeah. I mean, that's a great question. I don't know, because, and I'll say this, for the longest time, especially going the period through high school in England, I was always trying to fit in and trying to escape my reality of who I was, so my culture, because that was tied in with war and negativity and violence. I almost didn't want to be a part of that, not because like it was I'll be honest, like I felt ashamed of it at the time and not
proud.
and embracing it back then, because I didn't fully understand what what it meant, what it really was. But yeah, I mean, I went through the same struggles everybody else goes through, high school and school in general in itself. But the difference is I had to deal with my other life. So essentially I was living like two different standards of life, like a double life, like a double identity. And that's what the hardest part for me was trying to kind of, identify who I was in this culture, and at the same time trying to like figure out whether I'm African or I'm English. So that was probably that was the hardest period for me. The hardest transition for me, because I had to grow up so early. And I mentioned to you the other day, I said I didn't really have a childhood.
You didn't have a childhood.
I didn't really have a childhood, but it helped me to become mature quickly. Which it was backwards. So I'm more of like have childlike nature now than I did back then. Which is fine essentially, but I like it this way because I see how miserable people are, and I'm like, man, like, geez, this is how you are, like, but no, are we good with the?
I don't know why the light turned off.
Oh,
I was gonna wait for time to take it out, but I don't know. You guys just keep.
Is the image still good?
Oh, the image is good.
The image still good?
It's all good. It's just light's dead, so it's all good.
Light's dead?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's alright. We can still be taking a good camera.
Yeah, for sure.
You can still see us.
But yeah, I mean, that was my early life. It has like a dark shadow over it. It's like it was dark. It was it is uncomfortable. Not anymore. Like talking about it, man. I'm not gonna lie, I can talk to anybody about it. I can literally go to a stranger and talk about my life.
And that shows how you got all your pieces together. That it's, you can talk it just so free.
Bro, I have no shame now as how I am. I have no shame about my life. Like, I've sat down with homeless people, and I've sat, and
really,
yeah, bro, and I've just sat down there, and I have brought myself lower as equal as they are, because they're human too. And I've had conversations with them, and as an equal, like you're a human. Tell me about your story, and they tell me about their story, and I tell them, bro, I understand what you mean.
You relate to
I can relate, bro. And that's one of the beauty that I believe that God has given me through my journey is I'm able to relate with a lot of people. I'm able to relate with it don't matter who you are. I feel like I can relate to you. I can bring myself lower and understand, or at least if I can't quite understand, I can put myself in in a position
Because
that
you've been in a similar situation. Yeah,
exactly.
And that's interesting how a lot of people, as much as they can have empathy, when they say I understand, a lot of people don't.
Don't really
You know,
understand.
it's just they haven't been through
They
that
haven't been
situation.
exactly.
So it's just
Yeah.
cool that I mean it sucks all the experiences that you've been saying and a lot of other stories that people don't know about you, but like how that now not only helps you throughout your life, but also you can help other people, based on the experiences you had. So
I mean, and to be honest, that's the goal. Like like you said, Marcus, that is the goal. Is because there's a lot of controversial stuff that goes on, which we'll get on to that later on. We'll focus on that later on, but there's a lot of controversial things that go on around the world. I mean, we all see the world and perceive the world in our own perspective. We all have a unique perspective on how we look at it. And even between me and this clown right here, Eddie, we have our own perspective, and we go back and forth a lot on about just controversial conversation, but we are so different in how we grew up. You understand what I'm saying? And so for me, my goal is to always try to understand the individual, and bring myself low enough to where like, hey, like we can still we agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But if you look at the world today, nobody doesn't even want to agree to disagree. You just want to fight with you.
And that's a great thing that we can just talk freely and just straightforward with what we think, and not just no, I'm not gonna say this to you because you may think differently, and it's what's the point? Then we are wasting our time.
Exactly. I mean, you essentially, right? You come from where? Harrison, Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that supposed to be one of the racist towns?
It's known to be super racist.
Racist, right?
Yeah, but then you meet people and they say they're not racist, and it's kind of like, well, I don't know if I believe you or not.
Right.
What if you're just saying that because you don't want to be hated for it?
To be hated for it.
But then it's like, why are you doing it if you don't want to be hated?
Why
are you racist if you don't want to be hated? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I've seen interviews there. People are like, yeah, it's not really a racist town. But then you see the billboards.
Yeah.
And then you actually see how people do behave.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense. It's conflicting.
And that's, you're right about that. Your behavior tends to reflect who you are as essentially as an individual. So.
And plus, I think it's passed on to families.
Yeah, it is passed down.
It is because you know how back in the day you used to have a Confederate Party, blah blah blah, blah, and then some white people believe that's their culture, so they try to preserve it and not lose it. But at the same time, black culture, it calls what it calls. I don't want to get into that. But
no, but that's true. And the thing is, like, that's also with everything. You understand? That comes with everything, and that's the beauty of my story and what I've been through, and not just to make it about me. Is for me, like, I don't tie myself to a specific, group in the sense of like, families pass on to generations, pass on like this is this is this, and so you tend to become what your ancestors or what your parents are. You understand what I'm saying? You become the reflection of that. I don't even know if I'm the reflection of my parents or my grandparents. I really don't. Because I'm disconnected from that kind of reality, which for me is the beauty of it, because I like it that way, because then nobody can argue and say, oh, you think that way because of your parents, or you think this way because of the... No. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So to kind of bounce off your question, I don't... It's funny because you will know this more, Dustin, and I'll let you speak more about it, about your own life. But I don't feel like I'm literally, this will sound crazy, I don't think I'm a part of this world. I don't feel like I'm a part of.
In what sense you say?
In a sense of like, I feel like I'm on a journey. Yeah, I'm like on a pilgrimage, right?
Yeah.
From one world to another.
Yeah, yeah.
And so,
like as this, you're in a stage.
I'm
This is just one
yeah,
stage.
just as a stage. So, and every stage of my life, I've always kind of in the back of my mind subconsciously knew that I was. So when the stage went from starting from Africa, right, to England, and then to the U.S., right,
Yeah.
like that's one chapter of my life, another chapter of my life, and another,
Yeah.
and so those chapters of my life is just one. It's a one big story, and so I can never identify with just one chapter. So to say I identify with just one culture, I don't feel like I can do that. I don't.
It's incomplete.
It's incomplete. Yeah, yeah. I believe that.
You're a mix of experiences.
Of experiences. Yeah, I'm very. I believe I'm very diverse in many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so, America is where I really kind of started to see and how the world actually thinks differently. Because in England, like that's kind of where I grew. That's where I grew up,
That's
right?
like your baseline,
That's my baseline, you could call it. But in the U.S., when I came here, is when I really kind of like my eyes was like, wow, like this really these people are really crazy. Or wow, guns, for example. And you're gonna talk about guns for me, because like guns was crazy for me, because in England we don't have guns.
Here you can just buy a gun, like a candy.
You understand? You buy a gun, and so
Apparently,
so I wanna see. I wanna know like from because you're American, right? So I wanna know.
I'm an American.
You're the American, bro. So the cowboy, right?
I forgot my hat today.
Yeah, you forgot your hat. Yeah.
Yeah, my spurs and my boots.
Oh yeah.
Forgot those at home.
So yeah, tell me about your experience, Dustin. I want to know growing up from America.
I mean, I grew up in a small town, and in small towns, there's nothing to do.
It's called?
Right? Do what?
It's called what?
It's just called small town. I don't want to reveal everything about my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's understandable.
But I grew up in a small town, and there's nothing really to do. So like the only thing we had going for us was like Walmart.
Okay.
Yeah. So we lived in the town where the second Walmart ever was built. So that was like
second Walmart, like in the U.S.
Ever. The second Walmart ever.
Yeah, because the headquarters of
is in Bentonville.
It's in Bentonville.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true.
So that was like there was nothing ever really going on, and I always went to small schools, like less than 30 people in my class.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy to me.
And so I never really knew a lot about the outside world, right? Because I've always was inside of this bubble I kind of grew up in, small town, small people, like nothing really happening. And then, after graduating, and then I went to college for a little bit, I got to see a diverse, like, set of people. And I started seeing, like, okay, people aren't just farmers. They're not just, like, welders. They're not just, like, the small town, I don't know, there's, like, a clique there almost. Like, everyone is almost the same.
Right.
Sometimes I think there's NPCs. Like in a game.
Right.
I feel like a small town is just a bunch of NPCs.
NPCs, yeah.
No disrespect to the people there, but it just doesn't even feel real sometimes.
Right.
And then anytime I leave state or go to a different city, it's like it's so different. People seem happier. People seem like they are just full of life, and I'm like, where?
Right.
How can I get some of that?
Is it true that people in a small town know each other, like like for example, like if I live in a small town, like my dad would know your uncle, your sister, and they all work together, and like everybody knows what's going on in town. Like so if I went and did something, your granddad would know about it, or your sister's boyfriend, whatever, would know about it. Is that true?
I think it is that way, but strangely enough, I never experienced it.
Okay.
I don't know what it was. Maybe my family was just quieter. They weren't out about openly just talking about everything, and I don't know. Like growing up, you know, like the typical, like you see in movies, everyone knows their neighbor in the neighborhood. It was never like that for me.
Really?
We never did that. I don't know if we're just antisocial or what, but growing up, we didn't know anything about our neighbor. You know, we may have met him once when we moved in, but, you know, it's been past that. Like, we don't really know anybody else besides our own family. We don't branch out to others. So it's like, you see it and hear about it, like small towns, like, oh, there's Jimbo over there. Jimbo's my dad's friend's cousin. It's like this big mess of everyone knows everybody. But I've never experienced it. I've seen it. You know, when you walk into a gas station, especially where I live, there's always someone that walks in, hey, Billy, hey, Ron, you know. And it's like
the movies,
I was just about to say the cliches.
And even me, I'm like,
yeah.
how do they get to that level? And one thing I've experienced is, like, applying for jobs, it's so weird. I don't know if you've ever experienced this in your backgrounds, but, like, you go in somewhere, you apply, they're like, okay, well, who's your dad? What's your parents' name?
Really?
And they ask that. And then I tell them, and they're like, I don't know them. I don't know those people. And they don't hire you.
No way.
And I don't want to say they only hire based on what your family status is or their relationship with your family.
That's interesting.
Or if they have a name built up themselves. But it feels that way, for sure. Most jobs I've had have been out of state. Because I haven't been able to work there because they're like, I don't know you. I don't know your family. I don't know your background. Like, here's my application.
Yeah.
This tells what you need to know. Like, instead of, oh, I know your dad. He worked for the gravel company.
So I'll give you a job based on your dad.
It feels that way.
Yeah.
Like connections.
One thing that you guys do, or like in a small town where you grew up, do that when you went to big city and you realize, oh, we only do this, but
what's one thing?
Not everybody.
I mean, it's like little things. Like, you know, I think small town people are stuck in their own little ideas of the world. They're not very open minded. Like you said, it's a racist town. Like that's something I think is very close minded. When you go to other places, it's so diverse. There's all kinds of everybody. You know, every color, and so it's like okay,
like you know, like things that you guys do traditional that you
traditional.
Didn't, like you didn't find in the.
I don't know. I mean, I still haven't been to a lot of places.
Okay.
I haven't traveled a lot in my life, and so I haven't experienced a whole lot. But what I have seen of other places, it's, I don't know, makes me want to leave. Yeah, because I'm like, this is
at least to experience.
Yeah, to experience it, or just maybe. I mean, here's what they call it. So there's like the map of the U.S. and there's like the southernmost part of the U.S. like Arkansas, Oklahoma, maybe like parts of Missouri, Texas. They call it the Bible Belt.
Yes.
Like everyone's Baptists. Everyone's stuck in this little church bubble.
Yeah.
I have nothing against church, but it's the type of people they are. They're so stuck in their own little ways.
Yeah.
And literally everybody looks the same. Like
dressed the same.
We make jokes about. I mean, obviously they wear what they wear for what they're doing, and there's a lot of welders and farmers, and so no disrespect to them, but they're always wearing these tan jackets, right, that they get from the Tractor Supply Company.
Oh.
And they're always wearing boots, right?
And jeans.
And they all have mullets.
Do they have jeans? Yes! We were talking about that, dude.
And then they always have this big truck that's jacked up, right?
Yeah.
And it's everywhere. And it's like everybody is exactly the same. It looks that way to me because...
Yeah, it's like there's no diversity.
I never really accepted the culture I grew up in.
Why not?
I was always so afraid of getting an accent, and I would always pay attention to how I walk and how I presented myself because I didn't want to be like them. And as mean as that seems, I didn't like it because I was like, I grew up always telling people, I don't like country music. I don't like this and this and this, and the things that they did. Not to set myself apart, but to be different because I didn't want to be like them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I wanted to almost. I felt like you were saying. I felt like I didn't belong there. Like you don't belong on this planet. I felt like I didn't belong there. I still do. I feel like I belong in maybe a city or somewhere else, some other part of the world.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I blend in with the culture.
Yeah.
I've never really felt that way, so I've always tried not to blend in.
Right.
And growing up, I haven't.
Right.
I never really. They never broke past my barriers, and I was just still myself at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I still look at them and I'm like, everyone is literally the same.
Yeah. Now,
people.
Is that did that you think that was psychologically like from the beginning where like because you didn't want to be associated with the whole side of I don't want to be associated with this racist, like this
Maybe.
racist,
Yeah, maybe
like,
so.
town, city, not sound, but like stayed, or was it because like you were like, wow, everybody's so alike, I can't, like, I want to be different? What was it?
It's like, imagine everyone wears red shirts.
Right.
And you're like, there's blue shirts. Why don't we wear blue shirts? And they're like, no, that's not. We don't
It's
do
not
that
what
around
we do
here.
around
We don't do that
here.
around here. Not in this city.
That's a good analogy, actually.
And
yeah,
it's like, I'm gonna wear the blue shirt anyways.
Right.
And I don't know if it's because of that. I mean, I grew up.
So, like, what made you think different? Is it your family?
Yeah.
Your,
Okay,
go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, growing up, I always experienced a lot of people just being super mean. And I don't know if you call that being bullied or what. I never felt like a victim or like I was being bullied, but I just noticed everyone was rude. Like, they never had anything good to say. And it was always the same people who wore the cowboy boots every single day of the year, even in July.
All those
I don't
things
know what
that,
that's about.
Especially in
And
July.
I'm like, okay, whatever. And then, it's the same people that I don't want to be like, that were the same people being mean to me. And so I hate saying it, but I'm like, these are the most miserable people I've ever met.
Right.
And when I go anywhere else, that culture seems so much more accepting and positive and nice to me.
Right.
So growing up where I grew up, I always felt like everyone was just being super mean, rude, and I was like, I don't want to be like you.
Yeah.
So I want to be
that
different.
made you
and I
not
pick my own
like that.
my own
So,
way.
growing up, who influenced you?
Who influenced me? I don't
who
know.
influenced
I think I
you?
just saw things.
Okay.
You know, like when you're a kid, I think kids are very influenced by the adults or teenagers they see. You know, like
And
when I was a kid, I was always thinking about what am I going to do for a job? Like, what's my first job going to be? And my family would go out, and there'd be some teenager working a part-time job somewhere, and I'd look at him and be like, that guy's cool. In my head, I already decided I thought he was so cool. I want to be like him. You know, and I might see like a teenager, and of course, teenagers always have the weirdest style ever.
Right.
And I'd be like, I want to be like that guy. Or I see a car go by, and I'm like, that's cool. I like that car.
You just
interest
picked
you
up
pick up
things
on.
as you.
Yeah,
as
and
you-
it just developed. You know, the older you get, the more
so
you become.
You,
know?
you didn't really have somebody as a man focus or influence. It was just
Yeah, I never had like one specific like idol. You know what I mean? I never had anyone I really looked up to. It was just like
and that's
whatever I thought was
Yeah.
interesting. I wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, of course I'd look into it. Like if it was an interest of mine, like
right.
technology, I'd be like, I don't know if I like it. Let me look into
Yeah,
it, and I
yeah.
decided I liked it. You know,
Yeah, because that's one thing that is bizarre about you.
it's so different. Yeah.
Because like everybody from I guess Arkansas, pretty much I'd say like 90% of people, like they pretty much dress, talk, act in a similar fashion.
I know.
You understand? And
Yeah.
you just in how you're dressing now is like completely different to
from the
Yeah.
culture.
from the culture
raised
that
in.
where you were
Yeah,
where
but
you
not
were.
that there aren't people there
Right,
who
that
aren't
way.
like that. Like not
Right.
everybody is that way, but it does seem like the majority of people.
Yeah,
it makes
yeah,
sense. It's the South.
Yeah, it's just part of
But-
the culture.
Yeah.
But it's still,
but
it's like
yeah.
I don't. It's like someone picked me up and threw me in the pile.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
what am I doing here?
What? I'm the odd one.
You know?
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Um,
yeah. So wow.
Small town. I've always felt different
Mm-hmm.
growing up, and so maybe that's how I've gotten to where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
Just being who I am. I don't even have any friends in that town.
Really?
Yeah, people are like, oh, you live there. I forgot you don't live here, where we're at, and they're like, don't you have friends there? Who you hang out with? I'm like, I literally don't have any friends. I don't get along with those people.
Like,
I just I don't know.
Question then: in high school, how was your your interaction, your circle? Did you even have a circle?
I mean,
your journey.
It was up
like,
and down. I mean, I think let's start with elementary. Like elementary, I started this one school, and I started like second grade, and I didn't fit in for a while because it was like going from the main part of the city from the outside to where like the country really is. So it was like all the country kids, and that's when I realized these people are mean. I don't know if it's because they're rough and tough because they're used to
Right.
working outside on the farm and dad's cussing at them. I don't know their background, but it seems like they just grew up in a real rough environment.
Right.
So they took it out on me in class, and I'm like, I'm just a soft white boy from a little town, you know.
Yeah,
so
I think you
so
say that,
attacked.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you say that, and it's like what I realize about in the U.S. a lot is just for a lot of guys, especially in their teenagers
Yeah.
or early 20s, like a lot of them think like it's really cool to just act tough
they act
Just
up.
it's such a nonsense for me. Like, you know, acting as you don't have feelings, and probably that's what you know,
And I never
you
saw the point of
experience
that.
at an early age.
And I mean, like seeing it. How does that sound? Seeing it and observing it, I was like, you know, I gotta act tough too, because I'm a boy, right? I'm a guy. Growing up, I gotta act, you know, tough. Because I can't let people get past that barrier to see me as this person who's actually really sad because I can't make friends, right? But I act like I'm all, you know, whatever.
Right.
It doesn't help.
Right.
And anyways, like going through elementary, you know, I made a few friends and a few like-minded people, you know, and then I had to transition schools to a place even more in the country, like really far out.
Right.
And then those people were even worse. And I was like, so the more further into country land, further you get into it, the worse the people are.
The people are.
And I made that up in my mind in like 6th grade. So at a very young age, like 11, 12, I already decided I do not like these people. I do not like this culture.
Right.
But I couldn't do anything about it. It wasn't in my control, right? It's just what we had to do with the circumstances we were given. So, you know, I go through that school and I made a few friends off and on. A few kids tried to pick on me. Like, I started 6th grade, right? I didn't know anybody. And I was just a good kid. I never cussed. I never, like, you know, called people names. I didn't really know a lot of bad words anyways. And this guy, you know, we were at recess just walking, and this guy comes up and tackles me to the ground. And he's like, you just called me an F and this. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. He's like, yeah, right. And I had no idea who this guy was.
No.
Told the teacher, and I got in trouble. Didn't believe me at all because I was the new kid, right?
No.
They had their favoritism there. And,
that's crazy.
And that guy had beef with me the whole time I was in high school. And I still have no idea where that came from.
Till this day.
I 100% guarantee, and I would not say that.
That's so.
That's not the kind of person I am.
That's crazy. To
And
me,
then-
that's crazy.
And then his friend, like a smaller version of him, didn't like me either. And they try to fight me and stuff, but like they never really, they never actually committed to it.
And I hate to see when you expect, you know, justice, you know,
to be served,
and it's the opposite. You know, like I'm the, you know, the victim, and I'm accused as the one that caused all this trouble.
And then, you know, going through high school, same thing.
Really?
I felt like maybe I was a little bit awkward as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's because I didn't participate in sports. Just because, not that I didn't want to play sports, like I feel like I'm a little bit naturally athletic. I just never tapped into that because the same people who were being mean were also the same people in sports.
So it's like in the movies then.
You know, the movies, that's why, you know, I was telling you the other day, it's like a lot of times people assume because of that, you know, if you are chill, you know, nice, kind person, that you're not good at sports. You know, and then, you know, when they see, oh yeah, you played like actually good, they were like shocked. You know, and there's a lot of times, and especially when we get into sports, it's like at a high performance, I mean, I'm just kind of deviating, but still related to the topic, but when you get in high performance sports, like the cockiness that you see, it's just to an extreme level. So
that's interesting.
So the same kids playing sports, baseball, soccer. It was a small school. We didn't have like more than like 10 sports. So it was like, you know, maybe soccer, baseball, basketball for sure. And these were like, this is the country kids, right? They're mean. And then mix that with sports, and it's like the worst kind of person you can imagine. Yeah, they're just so rude about everything, and they pressure you, and you're like, I don't want to be in this environment. Why would I willingly be around you every day? When you're not even my friend. And so I never joined sports the entire time in high school.
That's great.
Because of that.
That's crazy.
But I wish I would have, you know?
You have to realize, it's what you said earlier about your auntie. Those kids, they probably were abused at home. You know, like their father, maybe I'm wrong, maybe.
No, that's...
Like expect...
You don't know,
you don't know. Expect too much out of them. They're tough to them. They're mean to them.
They're absent. And they're not in the house. They're just working, and that's another topic.
So they're just reflecting what they're given.
They're just doing it.
And that's what I wanted to... That's what you brought up a good point. I wanted to go into that because you were talking about how your experience was growing up, and as you went further into the South, it said essentially it seemed that it was getting worse. What I'm curious about is to understand those kids who were, you know, not that what they were doing was right and it was wrong, but what was affecting them. You understand? What led them? Yeah, what led them? And you said as you're going further and further into the South,
it seemed like they just
you understand? It's to me is if you ask them like why are you doing this? I've realized, and I've done this like because I did psychology in school too. Realized that a lot of people just do things not because they want to, because they don't understand. So they do things because they saw it and then they're going to do it. But then when you ask them about it, they're like, actually, I never really.
I'm just doing it.
I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it. And they're like, I'm doing it. And then when they realize they're doing it, like, oh man, I've never actually thought about why I'm doing this. But then you get into the root of the problem and you discover that actually, like, they're just traumatized. The whole time they were just traumatized. So again, just because somebody's traumatized, that does not give them a right to act that way and justify in the same way as just because I went through hardship does not give me the right that I can treat anybody how I please. No.
Yeah.
Like I need to take responsibility of my own life and accountable that I need to be like, okay, I'm an adult now. So if I have traumas, if I have anything that's wrong with me, I have to deal with it as an adult and go and get help and seek help if I need to, so I'm not affecting you and making poor decisions.
Yeah.
That to me is what I'm fascinated about, is why were they doing that to you? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And
we'll continue. Yeah.
And some people could be like, oh well, maybe you were being rude. But I wasn't.
Right.
Like I literally, the only thing maybe I was being rude about was I don't want to be like these people.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I didn't want to be like them is because those are the same people being mean to me. So why would I want to be like them?
Yeah.
And then they see that as I don't want to be like them, and they're mad at me for not being like them.
They want to be like.
It's like,
so it's like
everyone's just pointing fingers at each other.
Even could be what I think is, if you're for sure not rude as you were saying, like they're just saying that to justify what they were doing, like
that's the other thing.
It's just like, so don't take that as okay, they might actually been thinking that I was rude, because if you know for sure.
I don't remember being rude.
Right.
Never intentionally.
Right.
If I was, it was misunderstanding. Because I was an awkward teenager, so I feel like I didn't present myself the way I could have. But it was.
I mean, you said awkward and then not playing sports. I mean, not playing sport is not awkward.
But they feel like the awkward kids were the ones not playing sports.
Well, from their perspective.
From their perspective.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, okay, so from that perspective, some kids, I went to high school here too.
That's interesting too.
Yeah, I know where you're going. I think.
That's interesting too, because from you going to high school,
some kids naturally their vibe is just they're not social. They stay in a corner. They're shy. When you approach them, their
self-esteem is a little lower.
And I'm not saying it was you, but some kids are just, I'm sorry, just assholes because they're assholes. It doesn't matter if you play sport or not, they're just being asshole to you.
Oh yeah, they just they're the worst kinds of people.
But sure. I mean, from what I've noticed, yes, some kids, they get picked on because they're not.
They're awkward. Yeah, literally, that's it.
Which, it's not their fault. It's how they are. It's their personality. It's how they grew up, and they get, blamed for it. And
I remember being in this class. It was a math class. It was a small class. Maybe 10 people in it. It was not a lot of people took this class, and I would just sit by myself, and then they kind of knew each other. I didn't really know them because I was I skipped 11th grade, so I was doing 11th and 12th. So it seemed like I skipped a grade. So I was with the 12th graders, and I was actually in 11th grade. So I didn't know them, but I was going to graduate with these people.
Right.
I didn't know them, and of course they're all these country kids and that, and I'm like, I don't really know how to relate to anything they're saying. And I remember them always looking at me and like, why don't you ever say anything? Like, what are you doing over there? Why are you so quiet?
Exactly.
I literally have nothing to say to you.
I know.
Because you will not relate to any of it.
Anything that I say.
And no offense to your intelligence, but you probably won't understand it.
Won't understand. Oh, that's a fact.
I seriously felt that way.
Yeah,
and I was like, I'm just going to get myself into a bunch of deep water that I can't get out of if I speak. Because what I say and what they want to hear is not
It's not gonna match. Yeah.
And it wasn't until college that I started seeing different people and got along with almost everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
Which is so weird.
Right.
It's almost like those people in school were not the right people to be around. But in college, it's like, I don't know. You're more open-minded. And
I mean, ignorance.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not pointing fingers, but I'm just saying you guys got problems.
ignorance. For real.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still that way. I hope not, but
From your story, I can kind of relate a little bit.
yeah.
Because I remember back in Congo, when I was like third or fourth grade, you know, because I only got in my whole life I only got bullied once. And
You got bullied? Ah, you got bullied!
One time.
Boy,
I'll tell you why.
bullied.
Like
For real.
I'll tell you what happened. So
You don't believe it?
No, it's
Nice
funny
time.
because...
So I came from I came from like a private school, very private,
Rich kid.
kind of. You know, everybody knew each other. Parents knew each other.
It was very-
We go to the same conference,
Okay.
same party, same way.
Same everything.
Like you know.
Yeah.
So before I came here, I think my auntie who was coming here back and forth, he was like, yo, this kid is too sheltered. He need to go to like public school before he comes here, because America is a different place, you know. And I was like, nah, I didn't want to. My first day at public school, that was a nightmare for me, because you know I'm used to, like, of course in public school everybody knew me, and due to my personality, I knew how to, like, I'll create a group of friends out of nowhere. Like, literally, I can, we have it together, we'll get along, I got to click. So I went to public school, I was trying the same thing. But the kids who were there, all of them was already half. They want to be the half. They want to be creative. Like, they were already, they had their own group.
Yeah.
Me, I came in this quote unquote, you know, kids who got money, they thought I was trying to buy friends. But I wasn't. It was just how it was. So, like, my first day, I remember I came in, all group of friends, blah, blah, blah. Like, so some of my friends, some of them were eating, some of them didn't have enough money. I had enough money to buy everybody food. So I was like, you know what? He taught me.
Biggest mistake.
You know? Oh, bro.
Biggest mistake.
After school, you know, because
Was everyone bothering you afterwards?
bro, no, because you see, after that, so some people was like, oh, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, but some
all
just
the
so
other people
they
were...
came at me strong.
Yeah.
And that day is where everything changed. Because
Jealousy,
the next day, because I felt like, damn, like, I have nobody to stand up for me.
Yeah.
It was like me against 7 kids. And I was sitting there like, I'm not gonna fight all y'all. The problem is, you see, when you come from Africa, you grow up quick, so you learn how to have courage at the young age.
Because you don't have any other option.
There you
Either
go.
do that or you
Yeah, you didn't know you.
Right,
Yeah, so
right.
courage, it wasn't a problem for me. I wasn't about to fight, but it was just, I know I would get my ass beat.
Right.
And the next day is where I don't know why I did that for. My whole friend from the private school, I took all of them. I brought them, like, I don't know how, I rented this bus. I got all my friends in just to go fight.
No way. Just to fight.
Yeah, you know,
Wow.
but that experience alone, it just taught me, like, wow, like, some kid, and after months of me being in that school, everybody got cool with me. I was like, bro, like, you're, like, I told them, like, well, I didn't tell them, like, did they see somebody come pick me up from school?
Yeah,
I'm recording.
Good.
It's all good.
No, it's good because I have an eye. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like they'll see somebody come pick me up from school, blah blah blah. They'll ask like, "Wow, your family really care about you. They come pick you up," and to me it was like, "Whoa, how do you get home?" And they'll be like, "I walk." Yeah, I walk miles and miles to go home, and then and I was like, really, like.
So you're discovering.
Yeah, I'm discovering.
Yeah.
Oh, they actually have
to
hard life, and
Yeah.
me, and because I couldn't really relate
to them. Yeah,
I could only relate to my old friends.
Old friends. Yeah.
And then slowly you're starting to know. Okay, they get be at the house. They get bro. Some kids will come to school with whiplashes.
Oh God!
Like their parents.
know that. Belt.
The ass at home.
The belt.
You know?
Bro.
And then
Bro, it's crazy.
that's when a young age I realized, oh, okay, like he's probably doing that because the stuff he did at home. A lot of stuff I was doing in class, it was because at home too. You know, I have such a big family, and it's hard to pay attention to every single kid. And you have a big house. Somebody is on the other side of the house. Somebody's up. You know, like.
It's hard, especially if you have a bigger, larger family to connect to every single
so
one. It's hard because
So in school, at home, nobody knew my character. Eddie, nobody knew at home. But at school,
everybody.
That's where I made my name. Eddie's funny. And then when my parents will come
to school,
and they'll be like, Eddie's what?
Eddie's what?
Because it's a two.
You're two different people. At home, you're one.
And the way your home affects you is it play a big part, especially in a kid life. A big part. But growing up and that too, it gave me that confidence. And then it's why, like I'm always gonna say, I'm gonna always identify myself. No matter how long I grew up here, I'm gonna always call myself a Congolese. Because that shaped me. It gave me the confidence that I have, the pride that I have. It gave me this thing that I feel like if I was in America, I feel like if I grew up in America, I wouldn't have no self-esteem.
Really?
I wouldn't. I'm sorry, I really would.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know. It just depends where you grow up, how you grow up. In Africa, it's everywhere. You have to learn how to defend yourself at such a young age. Rich or poor. Well, it's more so of poor, but rich you have optional, you know? You can choose that, I gotta learn how to be tough, or you can take a totally different way.
Yeah.
You know, I just chose that.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn how to be cool with everybody, how to socialize with everybody.
It's so important nowadays that everyone's so much with technology. So we see here, some people cannot even say hi to your eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Which is crazy.
They can't even stare at you. You know. But yeah, we don't have a similar story, but
similarity.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
When you see the kids, they're rude, and you're like, what?
And I remember my first time here too. My first day at school here. Of course, I didn't know English. I didn't know anything. That was the hardest part. One of the hardest part of my life, because to change culture, we act different. We respond to things different. Like if we're having a conversation, if I'm asking you something, I expect the response. I expect the
interaction.
And that's not there.
Over here, it's like if you meet with somebody who can give you, he'll give you that same. But if you encounter somebody who's just whatever.
Yeah.
If you don't feel that vibe,
everybody here is a bit weird or rude, but
and that has to do more with more individual culture here. It's not. I mean, of course, you find people that are just similar to us in that sense, but a lot of times it's thinking more about them. We come from, and that's another thing. Just a difference in culture. Like we come from more of caring about the people around you, not just But
But I see a lot of kids in my high school journey getting bullied, a lot. But first time I came here, I didn't understand it because bullying in Africa is different than here. Here it's more, I don't know, they're trying to do it to get attention from girls, or they are the captain of the football team, or they're trying to look cool, they're trying to be cool. But where I'm from is kind of different. It's kind of like they're pulling you because you have more than them. That's the only reason why you're getting the heat, because you can afford more stuff than them. You can. No, this kid have an easy life. So over here we're gonna give him a hard life. But over here in US, it's a bit more of a.
It's the opposite.
It's weird, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we're going into different topics, and we're in this is the I Am podcast. This is inspiration. We've heard a lot of inspiration, and this is meaningful. That is the acronym for this podcast right here. I Am. So thank you for joining with us. We'll see you in the second episode.
Subscribe to the channel.
Subscribe to the channel, obviously.
You gotta subscribe to it.
Yeah, so we've heard a little bit about my story, a little bit about Dustin. You know, Eddie dabbled a little bit of his experience. Yeah. The next time, episode 2 for sure will be coming, and it will be about my man Marcos and my man Eddy.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, like Eddie said, subscribe
to the channel.
All right.
You won't miss any.
So you won't miss anything.
Any video new will drop, will just automatically
boom
appear to your phone. Oh yeah, just
see it.
That's all, baby.
And don't
that
forget
is
to
what
click
it
that
is.
bell.
At the end of the day,
click the notification bell.
Yeah, so you
when we
better
upload,
click
you
it.
know exactly when.
Share it. I don't know if that's
Share
a
it
thing.
to people.
Share it.
Yes, sir.
Send it to
This
your
will be-
mom, your brother,
This
your sister, your
this will
dog.
get big for sure.
Big.
No cap,
So,
no cap.
boom.
1, 2, 3, cut!